Avoidance anxiety, frequently known as the fear of intimacy, is the fear of having a deeper emotional and physical relationship with someone. Individuals dealing with this anxiety may not actually choose to resist intimacy and may in fact need it and enjoy it, yet they still consistently push people away from them and sometimes even self-sabotage and damage their relationship in order to escape being too close to someone. The fear of intimacy can be caused by a variety of factors, including childhood events such as bullying, neglect, and physical abuse. Overcoming this type of anxiety and stress might take a lot of time because it's necessary to investigate and understand the underlying issues and to learn to be more open and allow yourself to be vulnerable with others. Before we even begin to dive into the topic of fear and anxiety, let us clarify what exactly the term intimacy means. Intimacy is defined as the capacity to honestly share your inner self, your true personality, with another person, and it's associated with feelings of closeness and attachment. However, there are a few different forms of intimacy, such as emotional intimacy, which is the ability to share your deepest emotions with another person. Sexual intimacy, which would be the capacity to sexually share yourself with someone. Intellectual intimacy, which signifies your capacity to communicate your ideas and concepts with other people, and so on. To various extents, the fear of intimacy can include any one or all of these forms of intimacy. Still, it's important to know that the fear of intimacy is not the same as the fear of vulnerability, although they are sometimes strongly connected. For a person who is afraid of intimacy, the problem usually occurs when a relationship becomes too close. Now, let us explore some of the causes and risk elements that are usually responsible for the development of the fear of intimacy. For many people, anxieties such as the fear of loss, or the fear of abandonment, or the fear of engulfment are the foundation of their fear of intimacy, and all these fears can often overlap and coexist. Even though these fears and anxieties are distinct from one another, they all result in actions that can either overwhelm your partner or push them away, or do both at the same time, one after the other. Such fears are typically established during childhood and brought out to the surface by the immediacy and reality of adult relationships, which can easily lead to ambiguity and uncertainty. For example, people who are dealing with the fear of abandonment are scared that their lover may abandon them. For young children, this type of fear is frequently triggered by the experience of a parent or some other important grown-up in their lives abandoning them, both physically and emotionally. There are also others who are struggling with the fear of engulfment, and these individuals are fearful of being emotionally overpowered, swallowed up by their relationship, and losing themselves in this process. Now, the fear of engulfment deserves a video of its own, but let's just mention that engulfment anxieties often stem from spending a childhood in a problematic family environment. The fear of intimacy can also be a symptom of a social anxiety condition or a social phobia, and according to some researchers, the fear of intimacy is a subcategory of these disorders. Individuals who are scared of being criticized or rejected by others are more likely to avoid creating deep or close relations with someone. They are sometimes satisfied with only having surface-level social interactions. For example, having hundreds of friends on Instagram and Facebook, but not really having any genuine, intimate connections with anyone. Actually, the fact that social media allows individuals to conceal their identity and use their phones without ever needing to meet someone face-to-face is making the fear of intimacy much more difficult to detect. Before we dive into the main signs of the fear of intimacy, let's quickly go through the main elements of risk that might increase the likelihood of a person developing such anxiety. The risk factors for developing a fear of intimacy are commonly rooted in childhood issues and the child's inability to firmly trust their parents or parental figures, which can then lead to various attachment disorders. These are some of the circumstances that increase the risk of having a fear of intimacy. Emotional rejection, which occurs when parents are physically present but not emotionally involved in the development of their child, and thus signaling to the child that they cannot be trusted or relied upon. A problematic household, These are situations where domestic issues do not allow children to normally develop and form their own identity, as it's often the case in enmeshed families. And this can cause problems with confidence, attachment, and intimacy. Loss of a parent. Children who have lost a parent because of divorce or imprisonment or death may experience emotions of abandonment and have much more difficulties developing emotional attachments as adults. Verbal harassment. Emotionally traumatized children may develop into adults who are afraid of being mocked or verbally abused whenever they share something with others, and that can lead to problems in opening up and interacting with others. And, of course, it goes without saying, physical or sexual abuse during childhood can cause serious issues in building emotional and sexual intimacy as an adult. While the emphasis here is mainly on childhood, our interactions during adolescence and adult life also continue to affect our acceptance of intimacy. The fear of intimacy can manifest itself in a variety of ways, in just about any relationship, either romantic or friendly or domestic. Here are some of the major signs of the fear of intimacy. Sign 1. Relationship sabotage. Individuals who are afraid of intimacy can self-sabotage and destroy their relationships in a variety of ways. This sabotaging behavior can appear as being extremely critical of your partner, or making yourself unlikable, being too skeptical, or blaming a partner for something they haven't actually done. Sign 2. Fear of commitment. A person struggling with the fear of intimacy can often normally interact with others at first, but things start to crumble as the relationship becomes closer and demands a higher level of intimacy. Rather than intimately connecting, the relationship is then terminated and replaced by some other, less personal connection. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Sign 3. Perfectionism. Underneath a person's fear of intimacy is frequently a belief that they don't deserve to be appreciated or loved. This contributes to the desire to be perfect in order to be loved. Whether a person appears as a control freak, or a workaholic, or some other form of perfectionism, the fear of intimacy frequently drives people away, rather than bringing them closer to you. There are other signs of the fear of intimacy, such as inability to communicate wishes and desires, or difficulties with physical contact, where a person may avoid physical contact with their partner completely. Detecting these signs in time is crucial for effectively dealing with the fear of intimacy. And this brings us to the 4 main ways of coping with the fear of intimacy. Number 1. Be compassionate to yourself. To successfully overcome the fear of intimacy, you must first be at ease with yourself. You need to fully understand and appreciate your own value and worth as a person in order to successfully overcome the fear of intimacy. Being at ease with yourself can help you understand that criticism and rejection are not as terrible as they may appear. Self-compassion can seem simple to some people and pretty complex to others, and if you're not sure where to start, there are various good books and resources available online. I will provide some of them in the description of this video. Number 2. Recognize uncertainty. People who are afraid of intimacy are actually worried about the consequences of a bad relationship. It is critical to recognize that there are no certainties in life or in personal interactions. Every interaction with another person is, in the end, a calculated risk. With all this being said, personal relationships remain a fundamental element in human life. Having positive relationship experiences can help reduce fear, but that is a pretty tough assignment for someone struggling with intimacy anxiety. So instead of concentrating on a certain result, try to focus on living your life day by day. Number 3. Examine your past. Looking back critically and examining your parent or parental figure is not an easy or appealing thing to do, but you need to try to realistically assess your childhood relationships in order to identify the possible causes of your fear of intimacy. Consider the lessons you learned in your family and how they relate to the lessons you think you should have learned. If you had an abusive, negligent, or overbearing parent, you need to acknowledge that your connection with that parent is not the main template for intimate relationships, And this realization can help you comprehend what the potential of intimacy really is. Number 4. Create time for yourself. It takes time to overcome the phobia or the fear of intimacy. Even if you believe you're making progress, you will undoubtedly face some obstacles. When this happens, forgive yourself and try to respond kindly to your inner self. Try not to see your fear as a weakness in your personality. Instead, try to see it as something from time gone by that you can actually resolve in order to lead a better life. Gaining positive experiences from your relationships is also a proven helpful element for people who struggle with intimacy. Pleasant relationship experiences can boost your ability to develop intimacy over time. Alright, these 4 methods should present a good basis for addressing your fear of intimacy yourself. And in a case where it's your loved one who is struggling with this fear, try not to take it personally or react with anger, even if they try to push you away. Try to understand that they are not dismissing you, but that they are actually afraid of being rejected themselves. And of course, don't forget that overcoming the fear of intimacy often requires professional help, especially if this issue stems from difficult experiences from your past. A therapist can help you deal with any circumstances that might be overshadowing this issue, as well as allow you to gradually overcome your fear. And if you want to learn how to deal with the fear of abandonment, make sure not to miss the video you see on your screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, and see you in the next video.